Oh my God.
Oh, sorry. I was just reading. Sorry. Welcome back to another episode of Boys Love I Told Sunset About You. This week we have watched episode 3 of I Told Sunset About You, and we have another very special guest with us today. We have on Terry Blas today, famed comic illustrator Terry Blas. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for allowing me to force myself onto your podcast.
Yes.
Well, it's very exciting to have someone who actually makes queer content instead of just us who pretend we make queer content. And we really just talk about people who make queer content. So
that's queer content. If you think that my queer content for the past year hasn't been consuming every single video that you guys have made, then I don't know what queer content is. So
wait, Terry, we want to know if for the people who don't know, what do you do? Give us your accolades, because the girlies might be like, "Oh, I've definitely seen."
I don't know that there's any girlies that are going to say that, but
I guarantee you, there's going to be
someone is going to be like, "Oh my God, I have a blah 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 blah."
I'll say this. So I moved to Portland 17 years ago, got an illustration degree, and then pretty quickly
God, when you were 5, you moved to Portland when you were 5? You look you look great.
I am 44. Okay, so I could be I'd like to think that I'm your ate, but I could be your tita. Okay, so
Tita Terry.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. The thing I'm not fine with is that all the guys in the shows that I watch, I could be their dad. And that's kind of weird, but anyway, I got an illustration degree. And I think a lot of people probably know my stuff more from this comic I did online that was called Itsay Latino. And it talked about the difference between the terms Latino and Hispanic. I also did Itsay Latinx, which was the follow-up comic to that. They were both on Box.com. But I also sort of kind of got known for doing Drag Race fan art. Back in the days of MySpace. I sent my first Drag Race piece was of Angina, because she was everything to me. I sent it to her on MySpace.
Wow.
And now all these years later, we're friends, and I've done a bunch of her merch.
Wow.
But I started drawing comics, doing comic book covers. While I was doing that, decided that I wanted to try writing. And so I started pitching ideas for graphic novels. And then that's when my career started moving a lot faster. So my first book was Deadweight. It's a queer murder mystery set at a fat camp. My second book was Hotel Dare, which is it's basically Mexican Narnia, kind of. It's about 3 kids, 2 of them are queer, who get sent to live with their crusty, gross grandma in a dingy hotel that she owns in Mexico, and they find out that every room leads to a different magical universe. And it's basically what if you found out your abuela was Doctor Who? So, right.
Wow. Plus Encanto Casita.
When I saw Encanto, I was like,
now wait a damn minute. I need to get that cease and desist lawyer. I need to get that IP lawyer. I'm not coming for Disney. They would murder me. Especially because Disney approached me several years ago about writing a comic book series for Marvel about a character that had been in comics for 10 years, but he's a Mexican teenager who can turn into dinosaurs. And I was I have never heard of this character. I was his name's his name's Reptile. Let me show you. So this is issue 1. Wow.
And I wrote the 4-issue series for him because I was this would have been the character as a kid that I would have loved to write. And if he's a kid that turns into dinosaurs, he should be the most popular Marvel character for kids.
Totally.
Right.
So for me, it was an interesting opportunity. I read 40 issues of his the comics that he had been in. He had never had his own series. And his parents are paleontologists who disappeared. And I was does he not want to know where they are? So that was my pitch, was he wants to stop
being a superhero. Madam Web. Yeah.
Just Madam Web.
It connects us all, right?
It connects
the
us
webs.
all.
But yeah, I wrote that series. It's 4 issues. I got to create new Marvel characters. I gave him a witchy cousin, and her name's Ava. And she's now been in the Scarlet Witch comics. She's been in Strange Academy comics. And then I got to write some stuff for her. Marvel does a series now called Voices, where they Marvel Voices, which would be one issue is like all their Asian characters, and then another one is like stories for all their queer characters, and so I mean, I gave him a gay cousin too. I mean, I couldn't not do that, but yeah, it's been really fun writing comics, and just like sort of putting my ideas out there. I'm very fortunate. I've gotten to do about 4 or 5 of my original like own graphic novels. And I've written one thing for DC. It was a Wonder Woman Vixen thing. And
come on, Sapphos. Ooh.
And several things for Marvel, and now I'm basically a BL K-pop fan artist.
I know, you literally were like, okay, so what was it? What BL came first before K-pop?
It did.
And what was it? What was the BL that just got you?
Well, so the first one I ever saw was the Japanese Cherry Magic. Okay. Not into it. I did not like it. I didn't know. Coming from comics, I was like, oh, I know what yaoi is. I know what but I didn't really know about like BL and like the BL industry and whatever. So this was my first impression, and I was like, there were just 10 episodes of flirting, and before they were gonna kiss, I was like, I'm not here for this. I'm not here for this. No. So I was like, I'm not watching anymore. I'm like, this isn't for me. No, not doing it. And a friend of mine kept posting these gifs of like these 2 cute boys and like flirting and whatever. And so finally I messaged him. I'm like, Lalo, who is this? What do you keep posting? He's like, oh, let me change your life. And he sent me a playlist to his TV show called Bad Buddy. And I was like, oh girl. So I'm like, funny. Fine, I'll give it a chance. I'll just check it out, whatever. So I start watching it. I think after episode 4 or 5, I'm like, if this is just gonna be flirting for another I was like, I am not into this. After episode 5, I'm like crying into a blanket. I'm like rewinding the scene just to watch it again because I'm like, ooh, I can go to this when I want to cry.
5 was at the rooftop? The rooftop?
Yes. Yes. Like the way that I don't know Thai, but I can fully recite that entire scene.
It's so funny.
Sort of like the way that I don't know Korean, but I fully know lyrics, like full on Korean lyrics to many songs. Anyway.
That's crazy. Fairy Magic was our first Japanese BL. Like in the channel, but also in real life. Like that was the first BL that I watched.
So like, I don't know if you can see, but like I have like the box set of Bad Buddy from Thailand.
Wow.
It was not cheap.
Bad Buddy was also our first. Even before we started the channel, we were just watching BL.
It was our first Thai BL.
Yeah.
It was, I was blown away. So I'll say this. I was like, I don't think anything's going to be as good as this. So I'm not going to watch anymore. I don't know why I was like that. Right. But then it just snowballed. I watched, what's the one with like the guy who has the heart transplant and it's like, he goes out to the country. Is it 10,000?
All of the Thai BL girlies are screaming on the screen right now.
Screaming.
I know. No, it's like he goes out. He's like a rich boy, whatever. But he gets a heart transplant from this woman, and then he finds out who she was, and she was a teacher in like the jungle. And Drake is in it, and he's one of like soldier dudes in the jungle.
Oh, is he the one where he has the buzz cut? The one that you drew?
No, he's coming to me.
Oh, Freddie mentioned it in the first episode, right?
Hang on.
So, yeah.
Hold on. A Tale of Thousand Stars?
A Tale of a Thousand Stars.
It's
After
Earth
a long
Mix.
teacher dies in a tragic accident, her heart is transplanted into it. Okay, yep, that's it. So in that show, Mix is wearing like a black and white long sleeve shirt, and it's like diagonal, and like half of it's black and half of it's white. I literally went and bought 2 long sleeve black and white shirts, and I was like, Mom? I cut it in a diagonal, and I was like, Mom? And now I have 2. Anyway, it snowballed. I watched so many shows. I watched Together. I watched Lovely Writer, which I loved. And I just like consumed so many of them to the point where my friend Travis literally bought me this Thai BL like TV tracker journal. And you can like rate your shows and like mark the shows. And it's pretty amazing, guys.
Wait.
Yeah.
I love cool.
that. And of course there's like a little, And it has a bunch of shows already like listed in it, but then there's like empty spaces in the back where you can like write your own shows in. Like, anyway, at the time I was like, I don't want to get stale in my writing. I want to like kind of up my game, see what I can like.
And what year was this?
Change up. Oh, this was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, if that.
Okay.
It's gotten bad. But as I watch these shows, I was like kind of blown away by their structure, by the setup and the payoff. I was like, there's never a thread left undone, unchecked. It's like all wrapped up in such a great way. Even stuff that was like the insane product placement. In Bad Buddy, I'm like, well,
Buddy,
you know what?
The printer.
At least for me, the one that I was like, genius is the inhaler. Because I was like, well, but they raced up the stairs. Of course he needs his inhaler.
Inhaler. Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, I just really responded to these shows. And then the other thing that sort of grabbed me was so I was raised in a very high demand religion. I was a Mormon missionary once upon a time in New York City during 9/11. And but
Terry, you cannot say 9/11 in front of Adam because he will spend 5 hours.
This will be a whole episode about 9/11.
Adam will be on the phone with you for 5 hours asking about your 9/11 story because well, I just submitted a pitch for a graphic novel, like a memoir about being a missionary during 9/11 in the Bronx in New York. And like sort of my teenage years and like Idaho, Mexico, New York, like all that, and then moving to LA. Anyway, but we can chat later about it. We can have a whole session. Because I had been thinking a lot about like my writing and then writing this memoir in my teenage years. These shows gave me a lot of, it was a really weird feeling. It gave me a lot of nostalgia for a time in my life that I did not get to have. Yes.
Correct. Yep.
Right? And I was reading, so this is going to get...
Give me a fucking Kleenex.
So this is going to get a little tangential, but bear with me, okay? So sort of like, I wouldn't call him a friend. I wouldn't call him a mentor. We were more like pen pals. But Gregory Maguire, the author of Wicked.
Of all the names to be brought up today on this podcast, I was not expecting Gregory Maguire to be brought.
So hang on, just wait a minute. Hang on just a second. It definitely relates. I swear to God. So long story short, like I gave him some artwork on a book tour that I did of the fourth book in his Oz series. We started writing letters to each other. After he wrote a book, he would write me one.
Cowardly Ryan one?
No, the fourth one is called Out of Oz, and it's about Rain, the granddaughter of Elphaba. Anyway, so so just recently, like maybe 2 years ago, he had always said like, I'm done. I'm no more Oz, whatever. He released a new series called Another Day, and I was like, what do you mean? Like rain, go away, come again. And he's written a sequel series, 3 books about rain in another land. And she meets this young girl who talks a lot about nostalgia. And then this older woman who talks about nostalgia for a time in her life she didn't have. And he creates a word for it in this book. And so at this, like, I was like, yeah, I'll send you the text.
Yes,
but
please.
It was so bizarre because all of these things started like converging at once. And I was like, we've just been through a pandemic. Everyone's dealing with anxiety and depression. I don't know what it is that I'm like responding to with all this, but if it's making me happy, I am not going to question it. I don't care. I am not ashamed. I don't believe in guilty pleasure. You shouldn't apologize for what you like. So for me, I'm like, I don't care what anybody says. I love this shit. I'll be like, we're going to be, well, I'm probably a generation older than you guys, but my generation will probably be the first ones in like the nursing home, like playing a switch and being like, play Natalie Imbruglia again. Like, so we're just in a different era, I think. And we consume media so much. And I think that, we'll be liking the things we like. I tell students, some of my students all the time, I'm like, because they sometimes seem surprised that I understand their references. They're like, Steven Universe. And I'm like, I wrote 4 issues of the Steven Universe comic. Like, who do you think makes this stuff? Like, adults make cartoons. And so, it just made me really nostalgic. And like, I didn't get to I didn't get to like even talk about a boy that I might have liked, or the feelings that I was having, or processing them with anyone. So I don't know, maybe I'm getting something out of it because of that, and I get to experience it through this. But they're fun and they're romantic, and I love how like everybody in these shows is gay, and like, well, that's the world I live in. Like everybody I know is gay. So that's sort of how it sort of progressed for me. From there, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump over to K-pop. So
what is your favorite BL you've ever watched?
It's probably Bad Buddy still.
It is still Bad Buddy.
However, I think like one that gave it like a run for its money was Vice Versa.
The translucent paper.
when he says "dang" at the end, I was on the floor. I was like dead on the floor. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Jimmy C, my God.
The other one that I loved was Lovely Writer, but that's I related to that one because something I had written had been I don't know how much I can say about it. It had been optioned, and a pilot was being written for it, and a thing was being made, and so I kind of related to this character, and he played by Up. And then I saw Up get a makeover by Pangina on YouTube, and it was amazing. It's pretty great.
Do you have like a favorite ship?
For a while it was, yeah, but I don't know. That's kind of gotten weird, I guess. But I'm obsessed with Gemini and Fourth now, of course, just like everybody else. I was seeing actors like Drake, Perth, Australian Perth, who would be referred to in these shows as more Western looking because they were either multicultural or multiracial or biracial, whatever kind of mix they were. And my dad is a white gringo, and my mom is straight up indigenous Aztec Indian descended, like Mexican. So I think in American television, we don't often see, or if we do, it's not talked about, like mixed race characters, people who are multicultural or bicultural. And so there was a weird element of, even though I'm not Asian, representation in the fastest growing demographic in the country besides the college educated Latina is just a multicultural and multiracial person. And so it was interesting to see that. So I like them too. I like Drake and Perth, but I also love Neo. Literally the reason that I watched what was the really smutty one?
Only Friends.
Only Friends.
And on the first episode, you got to see Neo just let Drake have it, mama.
So for a while, I was getting together with my friend, and we would watch that was our show, and we would just pick a new show and watch it. Now we basically just get together and watch K-pop, Make Mate and Produce 101 and Island, and we watch all those. Boys Planet changed my life.
Yeah, Diva. That's why we're here today.
But yeah, the Neo and Drake stuff, I was like, I don't know how much I can look at my friend right now.
I need to watch this privately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I love it. And I just had no idea there was this entire industry.
That's the craziest part is I know obviously there's literally another side of the globe that I have no idea what's going on, but it was crazy being someone who I felt like I was I watch queer content. I'm engaged in queer media in probably more capacity than the average person in America. Yeah. And yet stumbled into BL completely by accident. And then once you get into it and then you're like, oh my God, I'm so into this. You look around and you're like, why isn't everyone watching this? No one talks about this. It's so weird.
I know, because there's so much of it too. There was a really great quote that I think was Guillermo del Toro when he won one of his Oscars about subtitles, where he was like, there's an entire world of amazing content and media and stories that can open up to you if you can get past this little hindrance you have for reading subtitles. And if my mom doesn't like me saying this, but I know she learned a lot of English by television because TV helps you get the context of what's being shown and set. You're seeing the story, but then you're hearing it as well. And so I think that helps quite a bit. And now I'm able to at least know some of the basics of Thai and get over it, because if you just keep watching a bunch of these shows, eventually you'll know, you'll recognize.
Right. Or even
some
just
language things and whatnot.
Understanding the tonality and you feel and hear what they're trying to convey with just listening, and you don't understand it. We've seen so many BL now that it's conveying through the language.
Right. And there's obviously things I would never recommend. There's stuff that you just wouldn't recommend because you're like, well, this is not great or whatever. It's fine. I enjoy it because I'm so in at this point that I just enjoy watching the genre. But it's bad schlocky horror. Horror fans wouldn't be like, oh, this is a great one to go watch. You should watch something more prestigious. Itsay, I want everyone in my life, I want to sit them down and I want them to watch it and I want to watch them watch it. And then at the end of every episode, I want to be like, here's my experience as a queer person and why I relate to this show. Like, that's all I want to do I cannot wait for Christmas break because I'm sitting my mother down and we are spending 5 days in a row watching this show. And she's gonna kill me, but I do not care.
But I will say, your mom got through the hump of watching my
mom watched a couple last Twilight episodes with me.
Yes.
My mom watched Aristotle and Dante, which is obviously not BL, but it is,
one of my favorite books of all time. I have the sequel right here, which is on my to-read pile.
I have it on my
the set.
I have the box set. Yeah.
The very first line in that book is, the problem with my life was that none of it was my idea. And I was like, oh my God.
The prose in that book is really good. Yeah.
So good. So I don't think my mom would ever, my Mormon mother, I don't think she would ever sit down and watch Itsay with me. I showed her one lip sync for your life and she was like, their makeup's good. It was like literally all she said. But yeah, I don't know. I think when I tell you, I think RJ, you're gonna have to text me after you guys see episode 4, to let me know that Adam is okay.
Okay.
Oh no!
I'm not joking. He was barely okay watching this episode.
No. Because Adam, if you tell me that you're okay after episode 4, I won't believe you. So RJ, I'm gonna need to do a wellness check after you guys see episode 4. Because after I saw episode 4, I needed like a massage, like a pound of chocolate, like an hour with Stardew Valley, and maybe 5 episodes of The Golden Girls just to feel human again.
Oh my God.
I expected that though from the beginning, just the way that everyone has been like, "Oh my God, it's gonna destroy you." It's so good,
the first episode made me cry because when he doesn't get into the program,
totally,
and he's like, "Are you happy? Like, isn't this what you wanted?" And I was like, "Oh no, this is like I call it the Willow effect," because when I was 16 and I was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I was like, guys, I was like, I can't see Willow cry. I can't see her cry.
No.
If she cries, then I'm gonna cry. So no, Buffy was my life. I won $400 in a Buffy trivia contest once, guys. Yeah.
I can recite you the entire musical episode. I have watched it.
I have it on vinyl right there.
We did a showgaze episode
on
the musical episode, which is like Showgaze is our movie musical podcast that we do.
But did you include the additional song that Anya sings?
The Anya song. Oh my God, I loved Anya's song. There are people that are like watching Buffy for the first time right now, and it's all just been like, who the fuck is this asshole? I'm like,
Xander. He sucks. Yeah. I just was talking to Ari about this because Ari and I do Harry Potter, and so we are reading book 6, and Ron is so fucking annoying. And I just said, I was like, he reminds me so much of Xander in this book because, like, I watched Buffy all the way through in college. So it was like 2012-ish era. Yeah. And I was like, in 2012, I was like, God, he's such a sad sack. Like, what a fucking idiot. And I can only imagine watching it for the first time in 2024, the year of our Lord, and being like, this guy man is a red flag. To eat dirt. Like, I hate him. He would be awful. I hate him.
I know. I was like, couldn't we have just kept Cordelia and like he could have like?
Thank you. Justice for Charisma Carpenter.
Charisma.
Right. Hashtag justice for charisma. Yeah. Anyway, guys, sorry. I don't mean to drag it on to other media.
No, it's fine. It's all queer content.
It's really, all queer content.
Because you also brought up Golden Girls, and there was once upon a time where I was trying very hard to convince RJ that we needed to do a Golden Girls recap.
You guys,
podcast.
How amazing would an anthology, like a comic book anthology, be called Picture It?
Picture It,
and it's all her stories.
But it's all of Blanche's stories. It's all of the
Sicily and then
Rose's
Saint
stories.
Rose's Saint Olaf stories.
Because you would see that, because there would be stories about them as young women.
Yeah.
And then all you need to do is take the exact dialogue from the show.
Yeah.
You could like capture.
You could do small curd.
Why are you putting this out there? We're gonna have to cut that.
I'm gonna have to like Kickstarter it, right?
Yeah. Small curd cottage cheese queen. It was the town's biggest honor.
Yeah.
Right after large curd cottage cheese queen.
Oh.
Well, Terry, we're not here to talk about any of that. Thank you so much. Okay.
What are we here to talk about then?
We are actually here to talk about episode 3 of Yearning, Pining, Nostalgia.
Coconut
It's actually brilliant that you brought up nostalgia because that feeling of being nostalgic for something that did not happen to you has been so heavy in this episode.
But it's been the experience watching the show for sure.
But this episode fully like the first time you touch another person in like it's not sexual, like they're not doing a sexual act, but it is like it's more
ravenous
than it is a hunger.
Yeah.
Well, I think I mean in the previous episode, correct me if I'm wrong, Teh kind of tells Oh-aew like to show interest in this guy, you should like touch his knee, and then they use that in this episode as a like, but I want to show you that I'm interested in you.
Yes,
and it's not sex; it's more just like that I like you, right? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, yeah.
So this episode starts, and okay, first of all, we have to go back to the end of episode 2 because episode 2 starts with Teh being like, "Oh, I hate the smell of coconut." First of all, this is not real. Nobody hates the smell of coconut. Thank you so much. He's like, I hate the smell of coconut. I think it's stinky. And at the end of the episode, he smells Oh-aew's hair, which smells like coconut. And he's like, that smells really good.
And he was like, it's the same smell.
It's the same smell. We start this episode.
Terry, we paused because I was like, he is smearing this coconut flesh all over his face.
Yeah, I was like, I am watching the birth of his kink.
Yes. It was so crazy once I put the pieces together of what it was telegraphing, because I was like, oh, this is just
because we were just watching it and he's like about to eat this coconut and I paused it to tell Adam it's coconut because it smells coconut. Like
and even
this was so weird for me because my shampoo, my body wash, like it's all coconut. And the way I drink coconut water, guys.
It was directed to you. You were like, now hold on a minute.
And we all love a Girl Scout Samoa.
Obviously. Oh yeah, totally, absolutely.
Yeah. So even his brother comes in the room and is like, "You're eating coconut. You don't think it's stinky anymore?" And he's like, "No, I don't." His brother walks out of the room. By the way, his brother's leave. He's gone for the episode. By the way, his brother walks out of the room. And he sticks his face into the coconut to just smell it.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling Adam it was giving like Call Me By Your Name, Timmy Chalamet putting his head in the shorts. Mm-hmm. I mean the peach, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a hint of that in it, definitely. That smell is such a strong sense. He's gonna remember this for the rest of his life. Every time he smells coconut, it's gonna remind him of this moment and this boy, and yeah.
But it's so I like it here. I liked it when it happens in Call Me By Your Name. It is so evocative of that feeling when you're a teen and you like you don't know what to do. You're just like, I just want this thing as close to my body in any way I can get it inside of me, visually, nasally, injected into me, whatever.
He's exploring, right? He doesn't like his character, in my opinion, I've seen the whole show, but I won't ruin anything. I promise. In my opinion, is much more insecure about who he is.
Oh, totally.
So he needs to like delve into his feelings a bit more. And so this makes a little more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In our episode 2 recap, our guest said that he is big.
He's small body, big feelings.
Small body,
like toddlers.
Yes.
Like everything is the first time they're ever experiencing anything. So it's just it's the biggest time they're ever going to experience it because it's the first.
Yeah.
And he has that energy. We get a bit of Oh-aew. He's texting Boss. He's still flirty with Boss. It's very cute. And then he posts that he's going to wake up at 4 a.m. on his Insta story. And then
why does he do that?
Everything's a signal. Everything is like, hear me, see me. I need
attention. He wants his attention so bad.
So bad.
This episode was like full princess mode. I was like, wow. He knows exactly what he's doing. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So he posts and then the next morning his alarm goes off and he goes to like snooze it and go back to sleep because he's like, I'm not getting up. And then he gets a call from Teh, who's like, hey, I saw you were gonna wake up this morning at 4. And he was like, oh, are you gonna stay on the phone with me? And he was like, okay, I'll stay on the phone with you. Everything is subtext. Everything is like what's not being said in between the lines. It's so delicious. And they're so good at playing that tension of like, don't push it too far. Don't push it, just toe the line and don't go over it.
Yeah. It's the thing that I loved about this scene was that both of them have these very similar alien dolls.
Yes.
One is
and
red,
I was
one
like,
is blue. Mm-hmm.
One of them has 3 eyes and one of them has 1. And I was like, these were obviously sold as merch, right? And I was like, oh, okay. So Teh has like the 1 eye one. And I looked it up. Its name is Luna and it was 86 baht. And, and then Oh-aew's the one that has 3 eyes. Its name is Solar. And I was like, oh, okay. So like sun and moon. And like I told the sunset, right? And that was also 86 baht there. Of course, sold out and out of stock. Anyway.
Wait, that's crazy because the shirt.
This is merch corner with
the
Teh.
shirt that the shirt that Teh is wearing at the end of the show with the red sleeveless with the Chinese characters. The Chinese characters say moon. So
well, and the white shirt that Oh-aew is wearing at the end of the episode, it says sunset on it.
God.
Yeah, I read something about how like they decided to title the show what its title is because of one of their shirts. Like that's sort of how they got the thing, which is they must have done during production because they write this whole thing into the show in this episode, right? So yeah.
Well, Terry, do you know what we found out last episode? That it is lightly autobiographical of their relationship in real life. They're real life friends.
You mean that they met actually in real life in a tutorial class?
Yes. And then Boss and I learned this too. Boss and Teh are like 2 parts of Billiken. Like he would drive PP around, but also he would like help tutor him and stuff. It's great. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Last episode was the kiss with Tarn. Teh and Tarn finally had a kiss. And so Tarn is like, great. I basically have a boyfriend. This is a sleigh. I'm really excited. And Teh is having his big feelings about not probably actually wanting to be with Tarn, unfortunately. So he decides that he's going to skip hanging out with Tarn, even though, again, in the previous episode, he had told her that he's going to spend all of his time with her, all of his free time with her. He's going to skip it so that he can go tutor his friends. She points out very logically, you already got into the school. Why are you studying? And he's like, well, who else is going to teach them? Girl, this is not your Mormon missionary assignment, sweetheart.
Oh, but he does want a companion. The thing that I thought was interesting about this whole scene was that it comes directly after on the phone. I think that when Oh-aew was studying, he asks Teh what a specific phrase means, and he tells him it means keeping a promise. And then it goes to Tarn where he's basically like breaking the promise to spend all of his time with her. And this is for me, theme of the episode, like promise and keeping a promise and creating a promise keeps coming back. And it's very interesting.
Yeah. It's on the nose, right? It's like, of course, you're going to learn the phrases in Mandarin that you are going to be thematic to the episode, but it's done so deftly and not beating over the head with it that I was like, like when he starts doing, at the end, he starts writing like male protagonist out. I just was like, oh, I didn't, it wasn't until he like had the line about being like, what if there are 2 male protagonists? What if?
Then it's a BL, sweetie.
You're right. Tarn brings up a very good point because it's the one thing where when I've seen the whole show twice now.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
When I was watching it the first time, I was very confused about what. So, like, how do I say this?
What she wants?
Like, Teh got in, but he needs to take the class.
Oh,
but he's also like tutoring in the class, but he needs to take the exam, even though he's already in. Like, I was like, what is good? Like, if I were Tarn, I would be like, no, you don't. You don't need to tutor. Like, didn't you get in already? Like, I don't know. Yeah. So it was a little confusing, but I get it now.
So you brought up the knees. The knees do come back again. There's a moment where Oh-aew is sitting between Bas and Teh in the class, and he like has this moment where he like glances over at Teh, and Teh's like paying attention, and then he glances over at Bas, and this is like his story is like, oh, who do I like? Because I thought I liked Bas. And why wouldn't you? Like, what a little cutie.
What a cutie patootie! And he's so nice.
He's so sweet, and he's so nice.
He's
in a T-pop group now called Bus.
Yes, he's in a T-pop group.
So. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he deserves a boy that will give him all the attention.
Mm-hmm. And then he like goes to do his little knee trick that he learned, and then he like chickens out. And I love
this is very brave. It's so brave of him to be like, he's the one that told me that this is the signal.
Yeah.
That I like you. And he was like going to try it on him. So
it's so interesting because last episode when he does all this stuff with Bas, he is he's so nervous.
Yeah.
Like he can't kind of get out of his own way of like just going for it.
But then was just like knocking knees with
this episode, he is like leading the charge. When they're on the beach later and they're like very close, I was like chaos twink energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
That twink 100%. That sunk the ship in Puerto Vallarta.
Oh, Puerto Vallarta. That's where it was. They finish up at school, and then Oh-aew has to decide if he's going to go home with Bas or if he's going to like go study some more with Teh. And he chooses
to go
home with Bas. And Teh's like, okay, that's fine.
Does he though?
He does, but then
immediately,
he texts him immediately and says the thing that he said to Tarn earlier, which was like that he pointed out that was like, text me when you're home. So he did that to her. Ooh, it would work on me. Ooh, it would work on me. A man saying, please tell me when you get home so I know you got home safely.
Well, especially after Oh-aew asked him, like, why do you need to know when she gets home? Because he was there when he said it to Tarn.
Mm-hmm.
So
all he needed to know, and then his like plan was like in motion. He's like, okay, he does like me.
Yeah. And then they've decided that they're doing this like weekend study sesh at the resort.
Great. And this room is gorgeous. The room is gorgeous. Amazing.
The view is incredible. It's like they're in like the presidential suite, basically. It's incredible. Gets split up into 3 different rooms, and Oh-aew ends up in the room with Bas. That's who he chooses to room with.
He chooses him in front of Teh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then they do this little study session, and Teh, genuinely, guys, to be clear, he's not doing anything this weekend except just watching them study.
Yes.
There is genuinely no point for him to be there. Especially when Bas is as good at Mandarin as we know he is from that first episode when he gets like a perfect 30 on the Chinese test. So he's the one who really could be leading the study session. Teh does not have to be there,
and Teh already once upon a time promised he would make all of them flashcards, and he never did. He's like, I don't want you. It's too easy. Blah blah blah. You won't learn anything.
Oh no! Earlier in this episode, he goes like, that's like 6,000 words. I don't.
Yes.
Never mind.
I'm not doing that.
So Oh-aew just has the flashcard. He's the only one that has flashcards.
He's the only one. So then they're in this little study session, and they're in these like 5 desks that are lined up all in a row. It's very cute. And Oh-aew
is giving the performance of a lifetime. Diva, she is.
I'm so over this. Just pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me.
I'm like, you should have gotten into that program, honey, because you can act.
You are acting, honey.
Acting the house.
That's why he's first alternate.
Yeah.
Our lovely first alternate.
Well, when he was doing all of that, it wasn't until at the end where I looked at Adam and I'm like, he's doing it so that way he would scold him.
I don't even think it's necessarily the scold. It's just the attention.
Yeah.
He just wants to be noticed.
Yeah.
He's going through a similar thing that Teh was going through last episode where he was like, I just want to feel more special than the other kids.
Yes.
But his is just, I just want the attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because now it's a little charged.
Oh, it's charged.
It's charged.
It's energized.
You want to know how charged? He literally sits with Bas outside in the balcony being like, hey, we did such a great job. And then kitty cat meows over to Teh and
to get a little chip.
To get a little Lay's potato chip, sponsored by Lay's.
This scene felt very real to me, though.
Yes.
Like, it didn't feel like it felt like a real, like, friends hanging out, flirting a little bit. You know, it felt very real.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. I liked this scene a lot.
Because, like, we watch a lot of K-pop content, and, like, the boys will be, like, feeding each other and just, like, whatever. But this is, like, there are moments where, like, if the very straight friends are seeing these, they won't think of anything at all. But because
it's also lucky that they're the most oblivious straight people on the face.
I know, they have no idea what's happening.
So oblivious that this episode literally, I don't even know how to say this. Later on, when the two leads are, like, at one of their houses, I'm like, they just full on left their friends.
Yes.
Yeah. They're done.
Then he lays down on him, right? Like his head on his leg.
Yes. And everything, and we've talked about this before. We talked about it when we recap the Eighth Sense. There is a really good, the way a queer person wrote this and made this is the way that you have to, as a teen, or even not even necessarily a teen, but like that first kind of like realization of like, I'm having feelings for another person who's the same sex as me, is the like, I have to engage in the plausible deniability. I have to know where the boundary is and do it good enough that I can like make it clear that I'm like basically want to cruise you, but it has to be understated enough that it's like not threatening, that it's not like, if there's a negative reaction, you can be like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Like that, that wasn't my intention at all. Like I was just eating a potato chip. But like your eyes, sweetheart, Oh-aew, you cannot eat a potato chip and be like, girl, be serious.
This kid, this actor, is so adorable. It's so like so the way I full on 2 weeks ago did not even know who this person was, and today I'm like, oh, let me just tune into the YouTube Le Défilé L'Oréal Paris show that he's walking in.
Yes.
You know, like, because I can't just like something, I have to become obsessed with it, obviously, right? And so, like, it's just so interesting to like see that he's like created his own company. He's like, his music videos are very, very sister girlfriend, and I kind of love them. So yeah, I just think this actor is really great. And then the other thing that kind of feels strange to me about like these scenes where they're flirting and having these feelings is that I was like, this, like, Bilkin reminds me of someone. I can't, and I was like, oh my gosh, he looks just like my first boyfriend. It's really weird. It's really weird. So, yeah.
But after the feeding of the chip, an iconic moment in culture, the feeding of the chip, it's nighttime. He wakes up. He has his alarm set for 4 a.m. He wakes up, he turns the light on. He's in bed with Boss.
And there is the watching of the sleep, a BL Station of the Cross.
A BL Station of the Cross, the watching of the sleep.
It is a different person, right? It's not the main couple. The main couple, but...
And he goes in to kiss, and then like right as it's about to happen, Boss kind of like shifts, and he's like, oh, he like pulls back. And then there's this moment where, again, Boss also clearly is like into whatever's going on. But
he's doing his own signals. Like he's doing his own things.
But in the moment, Boss like says like, oh, you and I should go on a trip after we like get admitted to the school or whatever, just the two of us.
Which is literally what happened, which is the trip that he promises with.
And then Oh-aew is like,
it would be more
fun with everybody.
With everyone.
AK, we're just friends. Sorry.
This scene was so interesting because he tries to kiss him, or like wants to kiss him, because I think he feels like I'm more certain that he is gay and that he would respond to this better, but pulls back because he has feelings for someone else he's less certain of. I was like, oh, that's too much.
It's the exact same as the last episode when Teh goes in to kiss Tarn, and then he turns right at the end, and he can't do it. It's the exact same scene again. It's so good. Okay. So everybody's now up. Everybody got up at 4 a.m. You know who's not getting up at 4 a.m.? Me. I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. to study. I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. to go to work. I am not getting up at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. should not be seen by anyone. Period. I do not care. I need to make that a very clear statement. Everyone should be asleep at 4 a.m. And I'm not talking about people who have third shift jobs. Blah, 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 blah. Hey and Oh-aew like go out to go walk on the beach at 4 a.m.
Like
and the way also he like Teh is like, I'm gonna go to the beach.
It is the most again, this is where I'm like, these are the most oblivious straight men I've ever seen, because these two are like full wide-eyed, making like clear signals at each other, and they're like, oh yeah, go have fun on the beach. We're just gonna study our Mandarin, bro. Like
I mean, so
oh my god, they're so funny.
I get that, but I also feel like, I don't know, I didn't have a lot of straight guy friends growing up, but I mean, like maybe they are that oblivious. Like,
no, I
like,
think
no,
it's true.
they are.
I think it's true.
I think straights, from what I've heard, I've never met one.
No,
but
I've heard
think
about them.
Yeah, I've heard about straight men.
They're out there somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know why they're hiding.
Yeah,
hiding in plain sight. There's like a moment with red flowers. Again, the color story of the red and the blue and the purple. We're turning into the purple as we go on in the story. It's very good. If you're not catching it, watch it with that lens. It's very fun. Because when Tarn calls at one point, she's wearing blue. All of her colored pencils are blue. She's full in blue, and then the next scene is, anyway, it's too good. The color story is really fun. So they're on this hammock, and it gets a little real. So Oh-aew is like, I don't think I
feel the same way.
I don't think I feel the same way about Boss as I used to. I don't think I like him like that. My heart doesn't beat. It doesn't pound like it used to when I'm around him. And he's like, oh, do you like someone else? Blah, blah, blah. And then they just stare at each other. And he just
stares at Teh.
Yeah. It's intense.
It's like, so
intense.
My favorite part is that he does this thing where he goes, you know, I think you know. You know.
No.
I think you know. He does it like 3 times. Oh.
Right before this, when they're playing on the hammock,
yeah.
I feel is like the moment they fall in love. He's like swinging him in the hammock, and like it's a moment of pure like, we want to be in each other's company more than anybody else, and we love each other.
Yeah.
So then this conversation, I feel like, because up until now, Oh-aew's been like wanting to like touch his knee or wanting to, and this is when he finally musters up the courage to be like, no, you know, like, you totally know that I like you. So,
and he, without saying it, neither of the characters say the words "I like you." They like it is unspoken, but it is very clear. And Teh finally admits, because Teh asks, "How long have you known?" And he was like, "I don't know how long I've known." And then Teh's like, he says, "I just knew that I want to be around you, and I don't like when other people are around you."
Yeah, the thing that was like crazy about this was that when he says like, "Since when?" and he's like, "I don't know," Oh-aew goes, "And for you, since when?" He doesn't even ask him like, "Do you like me back?" He's like, and what about you? For how long have you liked me?
So clear.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, if I looked like him, I would be like, I know
you're in love. Yeah.
Look at me.
Come on. He's perfect. He's beautiful. He looks like Linda Evangelista. I mean,
he's a model.
He smells like fucking coconuts.
He smells like coconuts.
I love it. Oh, it's so good. He says he doesn't want. He says, "I don't want you to be close to anyone else."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Diva, you currently have a girlfriend, so
yeah, I'd be like, well, yeah, you either.
You too, Diva.
Right.
So this is when Tarn, she gets a text from Teh, who's like, "Oh, sorry, I'm actually tired. I don't want to hang out today."
Sorry, I'm actually with my boyfriend right now.
And she looks depressed as hell. And I feel bad for this girl. But you know what, Tarn, you're gonna go to college. You're gonna meet a nice Thai boy
engineer
who's gonna teach you, who's gonna treat you well. It's gonna be great.
An engineer and or architect / dentist.
Yes, all of them. He's in every faculty. That is when we finally cut. The next scene is Teh is like at home, laying on the rug, like going through again. He's having his big feelings.
He like can't sit still.
He's wearing a red shirt, which I was like, woo, the red shirt. And
he wants to text, but he can't. He doesn't want to. He doesn't.
Huffs.
He huffs a piece of paper. One of his like tests that he wrote on.
Yeah,
crazy.
Did he take this test in like a silver Sharpie?
Yeah, or like a highlighter. It was his coconut pen. Remember? It's the green coconut pen.
It's like a palm tree.
A palm tree.
Oh, okay. That makes way more sense.
Because
does the pen smell like coconut?
I think so.
Yeah, it's probably a coconut pen. Right.
Yeah.
A scented pen. Yeah. A coconut scented pen. Yeah.
I'm actually
makes way more sense.
The ravenous, like, he's so like primal about it.
Yes.
It's making me go insane.
Yeah.
Like my brain is like fizzling. Like it's
his alpha being ignited by the pheromones. Yeah. No, we all know. Yeah. We all know what I mean. He goes to the beach. Oh-aew finds him at the beach. Just happens upon him. Their special little private beach they have together.
Now, Oh-aew is wearing the shirt. The infamous shirt
that someone else owns.
That someone else we know owns.
I can't.
It's important. It's important. For the
it's
culture.
Part of lore. It's part of the lore.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, and again, now that I'm like having fun with the color theory, there's like blue in the red shirt.
Yeah.
It's so good, but it's not mixed yet. There's just blue flowers on the red shirt.
Something that I love about this show, like my first year of college, I took like 2 costume design courses, and it's how I approach character creation. I love it. Like thinking about like the basic questions of like, how much money does this character have? How many siblings do they have? Like, you know, all that stuff. The idea that Oh-aew wears this red jacket a lot in this show is so great because it made it feel a bit more real, like the difference between like a WBCW teen show and like Degrassi, where like these are actual teenagers, right?
Uh-huh.
But in TV, a lot of American TV, you never see a character wear the same thing twice.
Yeah.
As if they have this like immense wardrobe, right?
Yeah. Right.
But this made me feel like, oh, like this is his jacket. It's just his jacket. He loves it, whatever. But there's also the hint of like it's red, and now Teh's wearing red, and maybe it reminds him of him. And there's like all these subtle things that I loved about that.
So this is probably my favorite scene in this episode is them
finding each other
on the beach. Clearly flirt. I mean, there's nothing else.
Chasing each
other.
Literally cat and mouse. I told Adam.
But they don't. It doesn't. There's so much tension, and they ride the tension so well, and they don't release it.
They don't know.
Cherry Magic has traumatized me because anytime there's a scene like this, I'm like, oh, is the rest of the show? Are they not going to kiss? The rest of the show just going to be? You know what I mean? So I always have a moment of like, where is this going to go? And I don't. So. It was interesting. There's moments in these scenes where you're like, oh, I think it's gonna happen, and then like, oh, it could have happened there, and then it didn't. And so it's shot really well, and it like amps up the tension and like the anticipation.
Yeah,
very much.
I like that it's like the kiss is going to be the final release. It's going to be the like climax. It's going to feel like we finally got there, and like I like that they're drawing it out as long as possible, and it doesn't feel like they're just finding ways to like draw it out.
No, because it's justified. Like
even this where they have no reason to not kiss.
He doesn't want to.
It's still like they're still just nervous enough that they like can't do it. Yeah. But it's so clear that that's what they want to do.
Maybe one of them, maybe more than the other.
For sure. Oh-aew wants to kiss him so bad.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Teh just wants to huff him.
He just wants to sniff him.
He just wants to sniff him.
We'll get there.
So they finally calm down from this weird cat and mouse that's very
Shakespearean, honestly.
very Shakespearean.
They're just running in the forest, like.
And they're like, well, I don't want to study today, so let's just hang out as friends. And this was the day that he was supposed to go hang out with Miss Tarn, and he decides to ditch her to just hang out and not study all day. So just keep that little bee in the bonnet.
Yeah.
So then they go and they visit a temple. I always love in Thai BLs when they visit a temple. I just think like it's so pretty, and you don't. I love that it's always like outdoors, like it's just like very pastoral in a sense. Like I just, it's not even about the like the religiousness of it necessarily, but just like this like serenity
the opulence.
The opulence, honey.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's so pretty. So Oh-aew wishes that if he wishes to get into obviously the school, and that he makes a promise that if he manages to get in, he's going to run all the way to the end of the Cape and scream.
But why?
I don't know, girl. I'm not running anywhere, girl.
I'm not, Mama. I'm not running.
Miranda Hart said nobody should ever run unless professionally or as a child.
I mean, they're. I would still say they're children to some extent.
Sure, I guess you got the energy, so have fun.
Yeah, God bless them. I am not. That when they like stop halfway and he's like, I can't go on anymore, and then he's like, no, I can do it. I was like, I wouldn't have even made it. I would have at some point. I would be like, just call the cab and we'll just go there in the cab.
Like, running. I don't even want to go on a hike. Like
crazy. No. He wants to go to the end of the Cape and he's going to proclaim his like thanks to the sky, basically.
Sure.
Great.
This is the moment when we texted you, we're gonna be a few minutes late because Adam can't stop crying. This is when I was weeping uncontrollably because the show is called "I Told Sunset About You." He says
we're gonna get there before this.
If I get into the school, I'm going to do this thing, and like you're gonna be with me. And I was like, maybe he doesn't get into the school, right? I don't know the end of the show. We still haven't watched episodes 4 and 5. I don't know, but I felt like the show was telegraphing he's going to get it. This is going to happen. You're going to finally watch this happen. And the excitement and like whatever, I felt like this wave of like emotion that I couldn't keep inside. I was like sobbing. RJ was like, do we need to stop recording? And I was like, no, I think I'm okay.
Because you're excited about what's to come. You're like, it's giving you like, here's what you can hopefully expect.
Hopefully. Oh yes. God.
I'm not saying anything.
No, yeah. I'm excited to see what happens. So they do a practice run.
Great.
I have never felt less seen on screen than during this practice run.
Stupid. I cannot relate to this.
Cannot relate to ever wanting to run anywhere. First of all, I have asthma.
No, me too. And I'm sorry, but we were likely when you have to run the mile in high school, like walking around the track with the girls.
Eva, I am walking. We are gabbing.
I hated gym so much that in our school corporation, you only had to take you had to take 2 semesters of gym throughout your high school experience. And you could do it as a summer school elective for like 2 weeks, like 6 weeks. Two semesters of 3 weeks each, and it was like all day gym, and I did that before I even went into my freshman year, and I was like,
you could get it over with.
I was just done. I did not have to. No, I didn't. And there was no like, oh, you have to go to a locker room. Like you showed up, you were in your gym clothes, you left in your gym clothes, you went home at like 2 o'clock, whatever.
Lucky.
It was great. This is also when I was at gym, and it was like the summer before my freshman year of high school is when I realized, like, fully made the connection that I was gay, because I was like, I'm really looking at these guys. It's really, I really can't skirt around the issue anymore. I am definitely homosexual. And so I was like coming to terms with that. So then when I got into freshman year, it was like a month in this school, and I was like, anyways, guys, I'm gay. And everyone was like,
wow.
No way.
No way.
You're joking.
You have that realization of like, oh my gosh, I'm like, thank God I don't have to like share the locker room with these guys, and then you're like, oh, I don't get to share the locker room with these guys.
Yeah. Well, then, like, because I never had that experience, like, at any point in my life, like, when I finally, like, was an adult and had a gym membership, I was like, I couldn't breathe in a locker room because I was like, do I look at the ceiling? Where do I look? Can I look anywhere? Do I just walk around? What do you do here? I didn't know how to handle myself.
You just walk around?
Yeah, the confidence of, like, the mediocre straight guys in a locker room, just like, they don't care, and they're just walking around. Yeah.
Girl, the confidence of a mediocre man. It needs to be studied. It needs to be studied. Put it in a lab.
Not by me.
No. So they run to the Cape. They have this really beautiful scene when it's like blue hour. It's like right after gold. It's like right as the sun is actually setting. But there's so many clouds that they can't really see the beautiful sunset. And I love that this show is like they really like each other. Like it builds them as like they're so interested in each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like, oh, I find you really attractive or whatever, which so many BLs are like it's very meet cute, like rom-com energy.
Yeah.
Like you see someone you think they're really attractive, blah, blah, blah. You get into hijinks, whatever. This is so earnestly like, I want to be so close to you. I want to know everything about you. And I like, it really warmed my heart that the scene, because like Teh shares like how he felt like less than his brother. Like his mom likes his brother more than she likes him, even though it's very funny because if you've been watching the show, you can tell how much his mother like adores him.
Uh-huh.
And like Oh-aew has like shares his like own stuff. I liked that they were able to be like vulnerable with each other, but it didn't feel. It reminded me of Stay With Me actually, when they're sitting on the top of the top of the roof
and just kind of like
me.
Telling each other's dreams.
Yeah.
And not having to feel embarrassed.
Because the show starts with them as little kids and they have a long history. There's a scene here, I think, where Oh-aew tells him, like, having you as my rival for this long has put me in competition with you, but it's made me a better person because of that. And so the idea that, like, another reason I love BL is because sometimes you get to see gay kids in these shows and you never see gay children on television unless you're watching like the season 1 of Ugly Betty or something. And like, but like the reason that all of my graphic novels have people of color, they're all for like young adults, they all have queer characters in them, is because I think that like, obviously queer kids become queer adults. And when queer kids don't see themselves represented in the media that they consume, like cartoons and comics, then the message they're receiving is that they don't exist. Like, where am I? Right? But you're like, well, I know I do. I'm like here. So why aren't I seen anywhere? Why aren't I anywhere? And that's, so, I mean, you get that in Lovely Writer. You get that in several of these shows where like they have this long time thing, but that's what you just said, I think is really smart, because it's not just like we're attracted to each other. It's that because I knew you. Right?
Gregory, can we get him on the phone? Gregory.
It's the same scene as Bad Buddy on the rooftop where he's like, when you were gone, I didn't have to think about competing with you, but competing with you like made me better. And so he actually tells him, you were my rival, but you were also my inspiration.
Yes.
I know. Now, I do worry for two people who are going to be in a relationship and they're both going to be actors in college. It's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough.
You're going to have fraught troubles.
I mean, I don't know, guys.
Well, I shirked the what is it called? The like stereotype that gay men date people that look just like them.
Good for you.
I don't know. It's starting to. I don't know. I think the longer we've been together,
the more we don't leave the house.
You'll start to morph into each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the first moment that I had the same thing that I had when we watched Cherry Magic, where I was like, this could be a musical.
I know.
You could make this a musical.
That would improve it for me. And then add a kiss, and then I'll watch it.
You gotta watch the movie. You gotta watch the Cherry Magic movie. I don't know if
I'll watch the movie. Find out for me first.
Actually, Diva, you should watch the anime. It just came out.
Yeah, the anime is good. Or you could watch.
I would watch that.
Tay News.
Oh yeah, Tay New, the GMMTV one. You might have to watch it through illegal ways because they. I
was gonna say they took it down. They took
that shit down. You cannot watch that outside of Thailand, girl.
So they go home. They sit on the couch.
The show.
There's this really funny bit with the dog. Oh yes.
Oh yeah. The dog is great. The dog is the MVP of this episode for me.
Totally.
So
as soon as Tutti leaves, they both get closer. It's so funny.
And this is the way they finally touch. They're doing it. They're touching in a not friendly way.
No. Oh-aew goes for it.
And I like how it is not great. It's not graceful.
It's not pretty. It's just
it's carnal.
They just need to get it out of them.
And it's so teenage awkward.
Yes.
Yeah.
That they don't know really what they're doing. Yeah. I like that Oh-aew starts it and then Teh does the exact same. He doesn't know what else to do. So he's just I'm just going to match it. Because they already established this competition thing, which I think
Teh is he looks like he's massaging him.
Yeah, doesn't he say oh, you ran a lot today? Let me massage your leg.
They're oh, I'm tired.
Yeah.
And then just
getting in there. Mom comes down.
Mom walks in.
Damn it, Mom.
She's like, oh, you should stay the night. It's so late.
Adam was like, the way she walks in and talks reminds of my mom.
Yes, that's true. See moms. So they finally go upstairs. Oh-aew takes a shower. Teh is practicing his Mandarin.
Sure.
They sit down. They have this moment where they talk about what he was writing on the paper was male protagonists. And then there's the line about what if there are two male protagonists, blah, blah, blah. It's all coming to a head. They start, Teh, the whole conversation has his hand on Oh-aew's thigh and is rubbing it. And I like that he can't even really have the conversation because his head is not in the moment of having a talk. He's fully
yes,
horny brain.
And when Oh-aew was looking at what to see what he was writing, he is all up on his arm, just a dog.
They can't even figure out. They can't get it out of what they are wanting to do. Mm-hmm. They just are I just want to be as close to you as humanly possible.
Yeah.
And then they finally work their way into this
well, Teh was scratching his back.
Yeah.
And Oh-aew
kind of turns into it.
And he is having his head is reaching back. It is a new experience. And they just start
feeling each other. And again, fully clothed, right? They don't get naked. There's not. No, they don't go. They don't touch anything below the belt. It's all just they're just feeling each other's bodies in a primal way.
But then it just pans onto Teh's hands all over Oh-aew's chest.
And what's not there?
Tetas.
Boobas.
No hay tetas.
Guys, that'll come back. It's crazy.
But again, I was so happy that the show that already in the last episode had this whole thing about being boobs, ha 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 ha, which I thought was it's a one and done teenage boy joke.
Hibiscus,
yeah.
That's the flower that they put on each other's ears in the hotel. It was a hibiscus, a red hibiscus.
Gag.
Yeah.
And this is when Teh has the realization that he's not holding a woman, which he was told all his life is what he should be doing, probably. Not probably, he was by society. And then he kind of sits back and has the moment of oh shit, what am I doing? And Oh-aew goes in for the kiss.
And has a final save. I think he realizes that he may be having second thoughts. So he goes in for the kiss and he
turns away,
pulls away and says, I'm going to sleep. And then he leaves the shot is just on
Oh-aew by himself in the room.
Teh full on stands up and it basically is like, what's that quote? He's like, if you want something to play with, get a guitar, and like sachets out of the room. It's so abrupt. It's like, I'm going to bed, downstairs, bye.
But this is like this is what the whole episode, as Oh-aew is like pushing the boundary and kind of figuring out how much he can say and how much he can do. This is at the back of his mind. This is what he's like more nervous of, because he's like Oh-aew, although he's not said like, I'm a gay character. Yeah. I'm a gay person. He's not a character. I'm a gay person. He like, by him being a person who's been like, I like boss. You know that this character has like already gone through the mental thing of being like, okay, so I definitely like guys, blah, blah, blah. So he kind of feels like he has to lead the situation because he's going to be more. He knows more of what's going on, even though, of course, neither of them know what the fuck they're doing because they've never done this before. And so, like, I liked that it finally like came to a head, and then obviously didn't work out. But I just like the structure of the way the scenes progress versus the way the scenes were progressing with Boss, because he was so timid and so shy, whereas like here he was like leading them more in these episodes or in these scenes. I thought that was like, it was the right way to. It's perfect. Even though
literally broke my heart. I could not look at the screen because it was breaking my heart just watching him. But I was like, this is how it had to happen. You know what I mean? And for him to just like sit there and not like show a reaction. Like I didn't want to see him like cry or anything. Just like be still.
They haven't like kissed or had sex, so they haven't like taken things to really happened. Like the next level yet. They were just kind of like exploring and feeling each other, whatever. So his reaction is still like one of confusion instead of like an emotional one.
I also, as a person who was out and gay in high school, right, and
had to do that role to be
that one for the guys who were like, oh, let me explore, let me figure out what I'm doing. Like this happened multiple times in high school with me, where I like liked somebody, I clearly got the same vibes back. Things happened more or less, but then they would be like, oh no. And then like you feel like the crazy person.
Yes.
Like being, I don't want to say gaslit. I feel like gaslit is very overused now in culture, but like feeling gaslit and being like, I was not making this up on my own. There was like an attraction back to me. I don't know why now all of a sudden I'm like left out here feeling crazy.
But I can only assume, Adam, that like you also must have felt like, why do I have to be the brave one then? And you just get to like be like, nope, sorry, didn't mean it.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's us.
They all pass and we don't.
Yeah.
I mean, like that, even though I never like had that in high school, but like I went to an all boys school and it was not even like an option. Like I never felt like I could even have that option because I was not passing.
There was a guy in my senior year of high school, and I won't say names obviously, but there was a guy in my senior year of high school who he would like text me and we would just go into the bathroom like during class, and then we would just like stand. He would just like put his arms up against me like on the wall and like pin me, and we wouldn't do anything, but it was like right there because obviously we were scared somebody was going to come in, whatever. But like this happened like multiple times, and I was always like, I don't know what's going on, but clearly he's texting me, and then like when we were outside of these scenarios, like he wouldn't even acknowledge that I existed as a person, and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Girl, stop heart-stoppering me.
Yes, very that. What's his name? The first one?
Ben,
yes, Ben.
Yeah. I don't know. I tried to pass. I couldn't afford not to pass, but I mean, my high school was 85% Mormon.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway,
Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, huh?
I can't watch it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Real Housewives of Salt Lake City?
SLC?
I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't want to say triggered, but let's move on. I just can't see someone who's like, oh, but like we're swingers, but we're Mormon. I'm like, then you're not Mormon.
Then you're not Mormon.
And you're just and you're just saying you are for like television purposes to get people to watch, to have it be scandalous. It's like, I actually had to follow the rules, so I don't want to watch this show anyway.
Thoughts on Pilk?
Oh yeah, you don't have a swig order? What's your swig order?
I don't know. I don't even know what that is.
Swig is like a big. It's like a soda. It's like a soda sonic because a lot of Mormons don't drink coffee. Whatever, blah blah blah. So they have
they're
like
all caffeine free
soda lattes, basically. Like it's like creamer in Pepsi,
and it's their iced coffees. And the wives have like their orders and stuff that they put in their Stanleys.
I have years ago come out to my parents. But the way that I will full on buy gum in the Boise airport so that I don't have to deal with the wave of emotion that would come out of my mother if she found out that I drink coffee.
Wow.
That is wild.
Trauma.
General trauma.
Well, Terry, we end the episode as always by picking our MVP. I think you may have already said who it is, but is that's your final answer?
I think my final answer is the dog. because once the dog leaves, stuff starts to happen.
The dog is like, fine, you can do gay shit. I'll leave. I will say if I have to choose a human character, then my choice will probably always be Boss.
I was going to pick Boss.
I was going to say Boss too, because it really broke my heart watching him.
When he rolls, he turns off the light, he leaves, and then immediately as soon as the door closes, he turns his light on
and just like sits.
And you have this moment where you look at him, and I was like, is he gonna cry?
I mean, it's like the same moment that Oh-aew has at the end of the show, right? Where it's just like confused.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're all going through the things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel bad for him. Because he's not one of the leads of the show. Get real.
No.
I don't think he's gonna get a
spin-off. He's not gonna get a. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if he's getting a closer. Although I could see a world where Oh-aew basically does the Tarn thing and goes for Boz because he knows he's been rejected by Teh.
Sure.
And then breaks another.
Have to watch the rest of the show.
Adam does not want to watch episode 4.
I don't want to watch the rest of the show.
Adam doesn't want to finish the show.
I'm getting emotional thinking about episode 4, so I'm a little worried for you.
Shit.
We have to watch it tomorrow because we're recording episode 4 on Wednesday.
I will not tell you anything. I will not spoil anything. I would never do that.
But just be good to yourself.
Be good to yourself during that episode. Prepare. The scene felt very real that I'm referencing. Did not feel like acting to me. And I was a mess. So
shit.
That's all I'll say.
Great.
I mean, actually, even though yes, I loved Boss. I mean, I'm gonna give it to Oh-aew. I mean, he went through.
He is so good in this episode.
He's so good, right? And like by taking the agency of like, I know what I'm doing, and I know that it's real, but still so nervous to do anything, and like it's so clear that this is something that like is real to them.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the show and I feel like I love that I have these other characters that we get to know. Like I love Boss. I like the mom character a lot. Yeah. I like I like Tarn, blah, blah, blah. But like, I can easily see this being translated onto stage and it's just a two-hander and it's just two characters the whole show, like having all these conversations. And like, it would still have all the same emotion attached to it because they're just doing such an incredible job that it's so good.
I mean, the sequence from him getting out of the shower till the end of the episode, I was like, this is a short film in its own.
Yeah.
Like just pluck this out and then make it a short film, send it to Cannes.
Yeah.
You're done.
I felt that way about the next episode.
Oh.
Fuck.
Just get some cartoons ready, some Golden Girls to watch after it so that you can...
Adam's going to watch some YouTube videos about how the Chicago Transit Authority was created and
That's
bunch
true.
of trains. That's Adam's like, I need to...
My husband loves trains and like knows the...
Yes.
When we went on like our first date, I was like, so what are you into? Whatever. And he said public transportation. And I was like...
You made a great choice.
And I felt so bad because I was like, what?
I didn't know you were married to Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg.
I didn't know you were Chaston this entire time.
But the great thing is that like we went to London and he knew the tube in and out.
Oh yeah.
Like if we ever go to Japan, he'll know he'll know it already. Like it's so wonderful.
Japan, and then we went to like the one. Oh, I want to go.
We went to like the Transportation Museum in London. It was so interesting seeing all that. So like now I like understand, and now I appreciate it. But he doesn't appreciate my BL.
We gotta get him.
It's okay. It's not for everyone.
We gotta get him a BL where it's like an urban planner. Creating like a new line and
So I just wrote up a pitch for a graphic novel like BL. Maybe now I need to make one of those characters.
Yes, an urban planner. Yeah. That'll get him.
Yeah.
What's your husband's take on zoning in America? Does he have thoughts on zoning?
Honey, you want a very special guest judge for this episode?
What about fracking? Thoughts on fracking?
Well, Terry, this has been a true delight. We're so happy to have you on. Are you able to plug? Like, do you want to plug anything?
Plug things for everyone, please.
Yeah, I have 2 books that came out this year. The first one's about Frida Kahlo's first solo show in New York City during the Great Depression. It's called Who Was Her Own Work of Art, Frida Kahlo. My other book just came out. Maybe it's been out for about a month now. It's called Eat Your Heart Out. It's about a girl named Blanca who wants to go into fashion. Her mom, Reina, wants her to go into real estate. So she runs away to New York where she moves in with 7 queer guys. And her mom sends a private investigator after her. So it's essentially a modern day Mexican queer retelling of like Snow White.
Fun!
But yeah, you can find both of those books. You can anywhere books are sold. You can order them from your local comic book store. And I'm just like in art school, they said be easy to find. So I'm just Terry Blas on all the socials. And my website's terryblas.com.
TerryBlas.
Perfect.
Great.
That's me.
Thank you you were our like little fairy, emphasis on fairy godmother, and giving us all of these little treats. So this is fresh from your fresh sketches from the Good So Bad music video.
That's right. The way I had to screen cap this video, guys, just to get some reference to draw those. Yeah.
And then my personal favorite, my little cat daddy.
Drake.
And then this is fourth.
I saw and I had to. That huge coat. Come on.
We have not watched a Gemini.
We've not watched a Gemini 4th yet, ever.
Like none of them?
None. No.
Zero.
So Moonlight Chicken's pretty great. Mm-hmm. Moonlight Chicken did not feel like a TV show to me.
Well, and I love Mark Packin.
Oh yeah, Adam's big Mark.
You gotta watch it. It's really good. I watched that the one time I had COVID. I was just like eating pho and watching Moonlight Chicken. It was like, yeah. But the other one that they were in that I loved, My School President.
Oh yes,
mm-hmm. Yeah. That one's really good.
That is highly requested. So I'm sure we will.
I've seen ones that you guys have.
Oh yeah.
You're like
we're babe. I mean, we started later than you.
We started in end of 2022, beginning of 2023.
Yeah.
And then our channel started, and so we didn't have a ton of time to just watch
we
BL
literally
anymore.
started watching BL 2 months before we started doing Boys Love Boys Planet, because we had just finished watching Roommates of Poongduck and then Kissable Lips, and then Ji-woong was announced that he was going to be in Boys Planet, and we're like, well, that's what we're doing.
A whole personality,
and then it became our lives, and now
my friend Pete, who was in Shadow.
Pete Buttigieg was the second to murder.
That's my husband.
You can befriend your husband.
This magazine with all the boys on it. I fully made him send this to me from Thailand.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, look at those.
Look at these photo spreads, you guys. It's so good. I love it. Anyway, like I said, it's gone beyond obsession. I mean, guys, I went and bought the Tom of Finland spread.
Oh my god, yes.
Those
It's bad.
Crazy girl.
I already framed this one.
It's literally.
It's so good.
Oh my god.
Too good.
Amazing.
Going on the wall.
I've noticed. I have noticed that about you, Terry. Once you like something, you're like, now I have to learn every single thing about it. Because Adam is.
But that's very gay.
Yeah.
That's very common. I feel like gay guys will have like a thing that they're like, I know every single thing about this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it makes us happy. We want to share it. We want to spread it around.
Divas.
Yes. It starts with pop divas, and then and then you find your little niche, and you're like, okay, now I know everything about.
I think it was Rue that said like teenagers love pop divas, like gay teenagers, because they're still trying to figure out who they are, and to find their diva is their way of going like, oh, I'm that one. I'm not this one. I'm that one. And so like then that just transfers throughout our lives into all the other things that we love.
Who was your diva? Who was your secret diva while you were a Mormon missionary?
Whitney Houston.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Oh, when I was a missionary, Shakira. I met Shakira on my mission. That because she released.
Did you convert her?
No, she released Laundry Service, her first English language album, while I was on my mission. So on my one day off a week, I would tell my companion, I was the senior companion by that point. So I was like, sorry, we're going to Shakira's CD launch. And so we went, I drew her portrait while we were in line. And when we got in, I gave it to her and she said, oh, ay, qué bonito. And then she stood up and grabbed my hand and she kissed me on the cheek. And I almost fainted, but I had to do it dressed as a Mormon missionary. So, gross. But yeah, anyway.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.